Hello friends, in this video I'll present to you the case study of startup called Housing.com. We will understand why Housing.com failed. So let's dive in. Housing.com started in year 2012. Let's first understand how this idea was born. So in year 2012, a guy named Rahul Yadav came to Bombay for studying and wanted to find a home on rent. He met with many real estate brokers but was not able to find the type of house he needed as per his budget requirements. After the tedious process of finding a home, he realized that the Indian real estate market was very much unorganized. And so he found three major problems in real estate market. So let's understand what were the problems he found. So the three problems were discoverability, transparency and fill up time. So the first problem of discoverability was faced by Rahul Yadav himself. That is, finding home was a difficult and tiring process, as the only way of finding a home was through brokers. The second problem was the problem of transparency. Now, people used to experience that brokers were not transparent about the properties and that the actual conditions of house varied a lot as compared to described by brokers. Brokers used to lie a lot. They used to present that the house is very beautiful, the house is at a very good location, the house has all the facilities, etc. etc. But eventually, when people used to visit the places, they were not satisfied with the house. This trust gap existed in the Indian real estate market. The third problem was the problem of fill up time. Now we know that people buy expensive properties so that they could rent it out and earn a significant return on their investment. But since people were not able to find properties as per their requirements, the brokers were also not able to sell properties. This way, the landowners and the homeowners were not able to generate a significant return on investment. So, analyzing these three problems, Housing.com was born. Let's understand how these three problems were solved by Housing.com. So, Housing.com made the process of finding house very easy by introducing a customized discoverability option. Due to this option, people could filter the houses on basis of filters like area, locality, facilities, etc. This way, with the help of internet, with the help of technology, finding houses became easier for the very first time in India. The second problem of trust was solved as well. Housing.com allowed brokers and landlords to upload picture of the property with a description. This way, the trust was ensured as people could read about the description of house and see the images of the house right on the website. This made buyers find out the properties they exactly wanted. Along with that, the Housing.com had a quality control team which ensured that the description described by the brokers and landowners was absolutely correct. The third problem of investment returns was solved by Housing.com as well. Clearly, as people now started browsing home from Housing.com website, more and more leads were generated on Housing.com. This way, the properties started getting sold and got started getting rented as well. Let's now understand the business model of Housing.com. So, Housing.com operated on a subscription model. In this model, brokers and landowners were allowed to display their properties, basically list their properties on the website by giving a flat monthly subscription fee. Let's now have a look at some of the metrics related to Housing.com. So, after few weeks of launch, Housing.com generated a revenue of $8 million, dollars, which was a huge shock because this happened first time for the Indian startup. Looking at these massive numbers, investors started approaching Rahul Yadav for investing opportunities. Now, this is something interesting, guys. Generally, we have heard that founders approach investors, right? That is what happens 99.9% of times. This was the very first time that investors started approaching Rahul Yadav. So, here is a great lesson for you: create a great product, create a great service that investors come to you to invest. So this way, Housing.com got funding of $2.5 million from two leading investors, which were Sequoia and Nexus Venture Partners. Now, this was the very good side that I showed you, that they were clocking in good revenue, they started working hard, they got the investment. But now, why did they fail? This is the very important part of the story. So, what happened is Rahul also wanted to expand his business internationally because this was an internet business, right? And so SoftBank funded $70 million to Housing.com. But till this point, everything was going good. The problems started arising from this point. Now, what happened is, as I discussed with you, Sequoia Capital was an investor in the company. This means that investors also sit on the board of directors and have direct involvement in company's decision making. So one fine day, what happens is the managing director of Sequoia, whose name is Mr. Shailendra Singh, he poached six employees of the company and he asked them to leave this company and offered them a job in Sequoia Capital. Now, this is something that investors are not supposed to do, right? Investors are there for funding your startup, for giving you advice when needed, but not to take your employees out and join them in another companies or in own company. This incident created frustration among Rahul. And so when Rahul came to know about the situation, he went on to send a threatening email to Shailendra Singh. He literally abused his investors. So what happened is, since Sequoia Capital is one of the largest investors in the world and is a well-connected VC, they started creating problems between other investors and housing.com. Now this is what happens, right? If you go and create some problem with investors, you have to understand that these investors are very well connected and they could literally harm your future fundraising rounds. They could literally harm the relationship between other investors as well. So, one more incident that happened in this time period was that Rahul wanted to acquire a similar company because that company was working in a similar sector. And so, Rahul wanted to expand the market share. So, when he wanted to acquire the company was available for 7 crore rupees. But since after this incident, the investors were very angry on Rahul and were not approving his decision. Finally, after 6 months, when they approved this decision, the valuation of company raised from 7 crores to 17 crores. And this way, the company reported a loss of 10 crore rupees. So this is what happened. Gradually, as the fight increased among the investors and with Rahul, what happened is Rahul was thrown out of company. Yes, this is what happened. And the shocking part is that while leaving the company, Rahul shared his stake of $32 million to 2,250 employees. And mind you, this was at the age of 26. This clearly shows that Rahul was a passionate entrepreneur, passionate about solving problems, and he did not came to make money, right? This is very shocking, guys, and something we need to learn from. So after this, when Rahul was fired, Sequoia investor approached many different CEOs and tried to run the company, but the company's decline started and they were starting to fail because they lacked the vision that Rahul had. Eventually, what happened is, after Rahul Yadav departed, the valuation of the company dropped from $230 million to $70 million. Finally, Housing.com had to merge with its competitor PropTiger. There was a time where Housing.com's valuation was 5 times more as compared to PropTiger. But due to this investors' battle, Housing.com had saw its decline and had to merge with its competitor PropTiger. So, from this entire story, there are some key learnings for you. If you are going to start a startup in future, you need to keep this in mind that investors are not always the people who are there to make your company. They also reserve the power to break your company. In this case, if Rahul would have managed the situation in better way, then housing.com could have never failed. Rahul literally went on to abuse his investors. He should have kept calm and literally go on to investors, communicate the problem and solve the problem. But no, he chose the other way. So this is very important. Never ever get involved in fight with your investors. Make this point very, very, very important in your mind. The second thing is that Rahul decided to expand his business internationally. So why is this a learning? This is a learning that you have to be visionary. You have to be visionary from day one. Whenever you are running an internet business, don't only think about your own country as your market size. You can literally go on to expand internationally as well. This will also attract your investors for your fundraising rounds. Some example that I can give you of this is running a SaaS company, running a software as a service company, because software company does not involve high operational or manpower cost, and so such businesses, such internet businesses, can be expanded internationally. Now, the third learning for you is that as an entrepreneur, make sure you have more decision making power than all your investors combined. Here, Rahul had very less decision making power and so was not able to acquire some of the companies at right time. And he had to wait for the decision of other investors. This is extremely important. One very good example I can give you here is of Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook. What Mark Zuckerberg did is he only owns 28% of Facebook shares, but owns 56% of Facebook's voting shares. This way, Zuckerberg is in complete power, is in complete control of companies' decision making. So always keep this point in mind. I hope you found something valuable in this video. See you in the next one.